of Parliament today when some members of Parliament questioned the age. They even said that he is in the retirement age, and Speaker Moses Wetangula said that there is no prescription for age when it comes to the Inspector General of Police. Two more. Yes, I support fully, no name. And just the final one, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. Kanja will just rubber stamp what has been happening by the police. Total failure by Parliament in approval. And of course, our conversation continues here with Nelson Amenya, who is in France, the whistleblower in the Adani deal. He admits tonight that he's the one who shared the documents with politicians. He's the only one who had the documents, and says if the whistle wasn't blown a few weeks ago, then by now this deal would have been signed. So many interesting aspects of this conversation, including the procurement board at the Kenya Airports Authority raising questions, and the Senate asking why abandoning this deal is not a bad idea at this point. And Amenya is still here with me for the final part of our show tonight. So, Amenya, the senators asked a direct question to the CS Transport, Davis Chirchir. Why can't we just abandon this deal at this point? Because it's caused a lot of tension in the country, to an extent that the aviation workers went on strike after asking for documents, and CS Dr. Alfred Mutua promising documents that were not delivered, until the final time that there was a big embarrassment at the airport, I must say, for over 10 hours, a standoff that led to the production of these documents brokered by COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli. So the question by the senators, why can't this deal just be abandoned? Why can't it be abandoned? I mean,
the deal needs to be abandoned and the right procedure be followed. And they should follow the competitive bidding. I mean, this is the only way, and this is the way that ALG Group advised KAA. So I don't know where they got this PIP from. ALG advised them that the only way they can get value for money, and the only way that can have the people who are bidding to have this pressure to give better terms to Kenya is only through competitive bidding.
What if we had competitive bidding and Adani won? What if they opened it to competitive bidding and Adani won?
Then we would be asking questions like integrity issues. We have to, scrutinize all these things, Ken. But if they went through this route, it would have been better than PIP. You understand me? And we wouldn't be speaking about bad terms like this, because there would be other companies that are, well able to do their proposals. And let me tell you, Ken, Adani is not even on top 100 of airport operators in the world. Let's not even speak about top 20. So they would not feature anywhere, trust me, if it was competitive bidding.
What number does Kenya Airports Authority feature in the grading that you've given in terms of airport management? Don't you think?
Well, they're not on top 100.
They're not in top 100 and they're managing the airport. So that is not one of the qualifications to manage an airport, that you must be in top 100, right?
No, I'm just saying that there would have been better companies to bid, not just Adani. And remember, Adani is new in this business. He's just a new kid in the block. Yeah. Adani's main business was coal and mining and energy. Mm-hmm. They just started this thing recently, a few years ago, when they won a tender to operate 7 airports without prior experience. This is obviously because of the influence they have in India. They had no experience, prior experience, and the only thing they said after winning was that prior experience wasn't a requirement. Who procures a service without looking at your prior experience? So you see, this is it doesn't make sense in India, and Kenya is basically their second. Their first international venture on airports. They've never done it before. Okay. So they're trying, and JKIA is our only airport. This is our pride, in Kenya, and we are giving it to someone who is experimenting on airport operations.
Okay. A lot of questions here, because this document has been very secretive, but I have a question from one of the viewers. Mm-hmm. They want to know, in the document, the takeover is 30 years. There have been talks about ceding our sovereignty, giving Adani our land, and they will definitely take over businesses in the airport. Please clarify this, because you have the documents. We are still waiting to see the documents.
Yeah, so they will take over JKIA for 30 years. I know the politicians are saying, oh, we are not selling the airport. But look at it this way. If you're buying land and it's a leasehold land and you're leasing it for 100 years, does the land belong to you or not?
For the 100 years, the land definitely comes to you.
And does the title deed go to you? Yes, you will transfer the title deed for 100 years, right? It's the same thing. Adani is going to own JKIA for 30 years, and they even requested to be transferred the title deed. So the title deed of JKIA will be transferred to Adani for 30 years. So aren't they buying JKIA for 30 years?
Common practice today, if you go to a Shylock or a bank to borrow money on an instrument, you want to buy a car, they will definitely want it registered in their name until you pay them back. It's practice, basic practice. So
is Adani a Shylock? I wish I lock in.
They are investing, and I'm a devil's advocate, they are investing close to 300 billion at the airport.
No, they're not.
What do you mean they're not?
So the financial structure of this deal is 53% of the money that is going to be used. So 53% of close to 300 billion is going to be gotten through income generated by JKIA. Okay. So basically, JKIA is going to fund this project 53%, and the remaining 33% will be debt, and I think 20% or something will be equity. So
yes, 27%.
Yeah, will be equity. Yeah. So debt, equity, and JKIA on revenue. So we are basically helping Adani. They're not helping us. 53%, half of the project, more than half of the project will be funded by JKIA. We would have just procured some contractor to do the job then if they cannot bring in the money that is needed.
Already there is about 42 billion shillings that was locked in the improvement of the airport. Where does this money sit? Are you aware if the government, because this money had been fenced off for the improvement of the current airport, do you know where that money is domiciled? Is this part of the money that goes into financing this deal? Is it in the documents?
No, it's not in the documents. So the documents, one of the reasons why the PPP committee raised an issue with the proposal is that the proposal did not have detailed information. Basically, they did not explain how they are going to get the 53% from JKIA, and other things that they did not go into details. And I want just to read a statement that was written by the committee itself. The statement reads, in several respects, as detailed in the observation above, the feasibility study report submitted by the proponent, which is Adani, has not fully satisfied the evaluation criteria of project feasibility and affordability. If the observations are addressed, the project may proceed to negotiation stage. The observations were never addressed because it has not, if they were addressed, it has to go back to the PPP committee. So basically, they raised a number of issues, and one of the issues is why is Adani going to finance the project through 53% JKIA owned revenue and the rest debt and equity. So basically, what you had the CS for transport say it's going to be financed by debt and equity was half truth. The whole truth is that JKIA will finance itself for the next 30 years. And you need to understand that in the first 10 years, JKIA only needs $700 million in their financial structure. So in their cost structure, they only need less than half of these 300 billion in the first 10 years. And the first 10 years is where they are going to build a terminal building. So basically, this is the time they need a lot of money for capex expenditure. Capex expenditure is building these terminal buildings, maybe recarpeting the runways and doing the taxi. So this is where they need a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the money will not be needed at once. It will be needed maybe in bits in the in the next 20 years. If you look at it this way, it means these people are not even going to take any loans or equity. They're basically going to use JKIA's own revenue, because they're going to increase the JKIA airport fees by 52% in the first year of their operations.
Okay.
So when they increase it like this, then they will use this money in 10 years to fund the project. And then the next 20 years, obviously, JKIA will have more capacity.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to let you go, but I want your parting shot in this. You have looked at this deal. There has been public uproar over this. Senators have asked questions, 5 hours of grilling or questioning of the Transport Cabinet Secretary. The aviation workers have gone on strike, and of course, the documents have been availed. From where you sit tonight, drop, proceed, and do the right thing, or forget about it in whole.
So I would like to say that this deal needs to be dropped, and they need to do the right thing. And I would like to speak also to Kenyans that they need to put pressure these people to drop this deal, because it's a bad deal. We all know the reputation of Adani, and if you must go to the streets, please go to the streets, because that's the only language that this administration understands, and that's the only way we are going to safeguard our airport. We are not against upgrading JKIA, but it has to be done in the proper way and through the proper channels.
Nelson, Amenya, pleasure talking to you tonight and sharing your perspectives with us and what you know about the Adani deal. So many questions have been asked, including by us journalists, on what we know. We wait to see the papers, but all the best and keep safe. Nelson Amenya speaking to us from France, where he is doing his studies, and of course he is the whistleblower of the Adani deal. He says if he didn't come through with this information, perhaps the deal would have been signed by today. We keep you abreast, we keep following this up for you until the logical conclusion. Let's see what comes out of this discourse in the coming days. All right.